So for this episode of Tim Tackles It, and possibly one or two to follow, we're going to go through the process of modifying an older truck cap or camper top to fit my Gladiator. A few criteria we're looking for was 1, it had to be cheap, 2, it had to be the right width, because it's too hard to mess around with that rear lift hatch being glass usually, and 3, it had to be near enough for me to get easily, and 4, I wanted it to have side lift hatches. So I looked around, and after a bit of searching, Facebook Marketplace to the rescue, and we found our winning candidate. So what we're attempting to accomplish then is that we're going to have our canopy come in like this. And to date, what I've done is we're working on now cutting off that front portion here, which nets us out these interior boxes that are on both sides of the canopy. And then of course we have our side hatches that are in like this on both sides. So with this interior box the way it is, I'm thinking that this will wind up possibly shortening these or making them narrower, bringing them in a little bit, because right now there's not a lot of interior room between the two, and the box, as you know, on the Jeep is quite shallow. So we'll probably move those in both sides a little bit so that there's a bit more room in the inside. And then once we've kind of operated on the inside of it, we'll be having a new front panel done, which would accept the frame for the front window of the canopy. And so then that'll be put on and attached and fiberglassed in. So then that's the project basically. And then the final possibility would be to relocate these openings. So move this opening back slightly and shorten and bring the whole thing back to allow for the installation of a possible roof rack that would come outboard and up on both sides. So we'll take that all a step at a time. Okay, so we marked the line, an overall line we want the canopy at, which in my case would be somewhere just around 64 inches, a little shy of that. But we've got this molding that goes right around the entire perimeter of the cap, which is in aluminum, and is riveted on. So I'm thinking before I do any cutting, that molding should really come off. So all you have to do is basically just get through the head of the top rivet, and then this should come off here. So here we see the molding coming off. It's attached, as I said earlier, with the pop rivets. Once those pop rivets are out, then a little bit of gentle prying without deforming it. And there is some caulking, a bead of silicone or something holding it on as well. But in this case, it's well aged and is letting go. So we're going to carry on now and can remove the rest of this molding around the bottom. And then we'll have to assess what else has to be done before we can make our cut and remove the end of the canopy. So I decided to actually zip these off because they're probably going to be wise to remove for paint anyway, and likely will make the job of assessing what I need to do to those inside boxes a lot easier. So they're just a 1/4 inch head screw, so we're going to zip those up with a hex bit, and we'll have those off in no time. It only took just a few minutes to zip that off and will clear that opening. And so now I'll be able to much more clearly see what I've got to do exactly to the cargo box on the inside to have it stay within the lines of the new length that I'm creating here. The box extends, as I mentioned earlier, further ahead than where my final cut line is going to be at the final front of the canopy. So I'm going to cut back the box on the inside first so that it's not holding anything, and then it'll be a lot easier to cut the overall canopy with it not there. And then I'll have to figure out where this finally ends in the final canopy. But for the moment, that's where I'm going to cut it. I figure better long than short. So I'll commence with the cutting. Forgot to put my mask on. So that is one side off. But while in there, I think the other side we have room for the reciprocating saw, which would make things a lot faster. And then next step will be to shorten this actually to length. All right, so here we are. Said we're going to cut off this front section of the canopy, and then afterwards, after it's separated, we're going to come along here and try to cut this line out and figure out how all of this will then blend back into this new cut line back here. Cut through the fiberglass, and now we're going to be cutting through the aluminum bottom rail. So to do that, I thought the reciprocating saw might be a better choice. So I'm just going to change blades, put on a metal cutting blade, and zip through the aluminum bottom rail, and then that should free up the front end, and then we can start to assess cutting this the front face out. So we've cut through the bottom rail, and this is our front section coming off now, right at the moment. So let's see where we go next. Next step is window. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so frame now, inner frame should be 3. It's not attached to the window anymore. There we go. Okay. That's the inner frame to the window. Now, the hope is that the outer frame will come out nice and easy. What do you figure the odds of that are? Sitting down in the truck, that was easy. Okay, so just gonna get our jigsaw and do a cut around the perimeter of the face of the canopy, and then after that we'll play with a little bit of test fitting here to see what we want to try to do. So it basically just took a piece of 1/2-inch plywood that I'm going to use as a new front bulkhead and placed it up against the end of the truck cap that I cut off so that I can do a tracing of the outline and then use that as the new front bulkhead. So first step is attaching, there's an aluminum rail that went across the front of the truck cap. So I'm just going to attach that to the new plywood front bulkhead before I do anything else. Ah, the joys of working alone. You ever wish you had kind of a third hand? We'll pop rivet this plywood blank on first. Here I'm just going to trim out the actual window frame opening that I need to insert into my new front bulkhead from the original fiberglass one that was all contoured. Okay, so we've got our window frame cut out of the front of the old canopy, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create an opening for it to drop into this new plywood blank, and I'll be able to reuse it as the frame for the window that was in here before. So we'll get going on that right now. I'm just going to drill a pilot hole here, and we'll get started with cutting that out so I can set the new frame into that plywood blank. Okay, so we just do a little fine tuning of my window frame so that it fits nice and flush with the front of my new bulkhead. Just in the middle of attaching that front window frame to the front panel of what will be the new front of my canopy. So just doing that now, so with a little bit of Bondo, and it's fiberglass reinforced Bondo, so it'll help adhere that. And then when we do our overlay of actual fiberglass cloth, a nice smooth surface to work with. So do the other side, and we'll see you then. Okay, so this is the next stage of what I'm working on now. The openings for the hatch covers, or the hatches here, as you can see, they're with my modified length, I'm actually pretty close to the front. And there's acres of space here at the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to just relocate this opening so that it's set a little bit further back. So how we go about this is like this. We're going to fit and make a bit of a template here of what this curve looks like, because we want to kind of make that, or duplicate this again. All right, so I cut out the back portion of this, of the opening, and then we bring it forward to here. And so it's going to be very similar. So what we're going to do is we'll just use the offcut from the back to move it forward on both sides, and we'll fiberglass this back in, and our opening will be reestablished once again. Okay, so we've got just some little blocks of wood here covered in tuck tape, which is that tape you use for exterior sheathing, windproofing, that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these to brace our patch here until such time as we can get it put in place. So we'll start up here. Okay. So we'll be screwing our replacement patch in like so. That one might hold as it is. So the idea being that we're going to patch our fiberglass where there is no screw, and then once that's set, then we'll be able to go back in and patch our other areas where the screw is sitting right now. Okay, so you'll note that I've ground off the gel coat in the area that I'm patching here. Just to avoid it getting, make sure our fiberglass resin adheres then. It's also helpful if you pre-cut a few pieces of the matting, so you're not having to wrestle with that while you're doing this, because inevitably you end up looking like a tarred and feathered person because are covered in resin if you start fooling around with it. So at this stage, I'm just looking for that to just kind of hold that flush for the time being. And we can always grind that out, clean it all up after it's set. So the plastic tape helps it slip right off of the fiberglass, so you don't have to worry about it sticking. So now that we have the inside work done, so the inside compartments are fixed and we've got the side hatches in the right location, I've got my front bulkhead that I'm going to put back in place now. And once we're happy with the location, we'll do a little Bondo work to kind of get it faired up so that the fiberglass will lay nice on it. And we'll get this started right now.
Paint the bottom and just lean it against the wall when you're done. Paint the bottom of it, then lean it against the wall and paint the rest of it. But you could.
They need to be packed.
True. That's true. And I guess we're probably getting near the end of the day anyway, right?
Well, I need to paint this. I've got a little bit of jar.
I wonder if I should. Well, if there's been zero progress made on the restoration of power, like you look around, there's still like 50,000 people without power, then probably we need more gas.
I'll be right back. I'm just going to move my house. You guys want to come in the house?
Do they? You didn't ask him, like.
That's it.
All right, so we just did a little test here with a test fit with our canopy. It's been modified to length, and before finishing all the final surface of the front end of it and getting our hatches back on, take a quick look and see overall fit and finish. It looks like it lines up pretty well. Now this canopy does unfortunately have a bit of a slope to the side, but there's going to be a rack coming out of from underneath here and up and over, so I think that'll probably disguise that for the most part. And there you have it. So we'll be able to get this thing finished now, and we'll keep you informed.